The Natalie Holloway case has taken a number of twists and turns since the fateful night the Alabama teen vanished from her senior class trip to Aruba. Here's a look back at how this case has unfolded.
Her handwriting on the Aruban immigration card said she would be staying for 4 nights. Instead, she has been gone for nearly 2 years. Alabama teen Natalie Holloway. Her disappearance has baffled investigators and kept the nation riveted. May 24th, 2005. 18-year-old Natalie Holloway graduates from Mountain Brook High School in Birmingham, Alabama. The honor student had nothing but hope for the future and the whole world ahead of her in her room. Dresses she had purchased for her university sorority rush were in her closet. She, more than 100 of her fellow seniors, and their 7 chaperones were preparing for the senior trip to sunny Aruba. The trip, an annual event, was not sponsored by the school. It was a trip that students anticipated to be filled with sun, fun, and partying, sunburns being the only consequence of their trip. But instead, it became a life lesson that no one could anticipate, and one from which they are still reeling. May 30th, the last night of the trip. Natalie and her friends spend the night partying at a popular local hotspot, Carlos and Charlie's Bar and Restaurant. Then, according to friends and witnesses, Natalie leaves the bar around 1 a.m. and is seen getting into a car outside of the nightclub. When Natalie doesn't show up for her return flight the next morning, police go to her hotel room to find her passport, cell phone, and her packed bags. But no sign of the beautiful teen. June 4th, Aruban authorities say 3 men have emerged as the most important lead. Joran Vandersloot and brothers Deepak and Satish Kalpo claim they dropped Holloway off at her hotel around 2 a.m., though hotel security cameras have no record of her return. Within 10 days after Natalie disappeared, police took Joran Vandersloot, the Kalpo brothers, and later even Joran's father Paul, an apprentice judge, into custody. Meanwhile, a massive search for Natalie Holloway begins. About 700 volunteers joining police, soldiers, and FBI in hunt for Natalie. The search is extensive. Texas EquiSearch teams, including divers, helicopter aerial surveys, F-16 photographic surveys, searching sand dunes, the ocean, the lighthouse, but nothing is recovered. Beth Holloway Twitty, Natalie's mother, claims that Joran Vandersloot sexually assaulted her daughter during various stages of consciousness, while then Aruban Police Chief Dompig says there's no proof that this occurred. On July 4th, an Aruban court releases the Kalpo brothers from prison. While prosecutors continued to fight to have them rearrested, the court ruled there was not enough evidence to detain Deepak and Satish. During the investigation, hopes were raised and dashed. Blonde hairs found stuck to duct tape turned out to not belong to Natalie. Tips leading to a search of the local landfill turned up nothing, while authorities tried to link her disappearance to the 3 suspects. Then, on August 26th, investigators said they had uncovered new facts that led them to again arrest the Kalpo brothers on the suspicion of rape and murder. But on September 3rd, the Aruban court releases all 3 suspects, provided they remain available to police. While Vandersloot attends college in the Netherlands, the Holloway family never let go of their search for Natalie. Aruban police came to the United States in January of 2006 to interview Natalie's classmates who accompanied her on the trip. Frustrated by the lack of results in the investigation, Holloway's parents served Joran and Paul Vandersloot with a summons while they were in New York in February of 2006, suing them for unspecified monetary damages. However, they claimed the lawsuit was to obtain information from the Vandersloots. That March, the Vandersloots sought to have the lawsuit dismissed. Then another surprising twist. On April 16th, Aruban police arrested a 19-year-old in connection with the disappearance, but was released 8 days later. Last August, a New York judge dismissed the Holloway's wrongful death lawsuit against Joran, but then in December filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the Kalpo brothers in the state of California, while they fought to have the lawsuit dismissed. Her family still searches for answers for what happened to their little girl. $1 million reward is offered for her safe return. But will there ever be any answers? And will there ever be any justice for Natalie?
The new search for information about Natalie is just another turn in this intriguing case. But will investigators ever find the clue that will break the case wide open? What would that mean for those whose lives have been drastically changed since her disappearance? Joining us now in Tampa is prosecutor Pam Bondi. In Philadelphia is criminal defense attorney Joe Lawless. And in Houston is retired head of the Houston FBI, Don Clark. Thanks for joining me tonight. Pam, I'm going to start with you. You say investigators have to have some kind of new information on this case. Why?
Well, Kimberly, of course, these are laws of a foreign land that apply, but in our country, and I would imagine in every country where you serve a search warrant, you have to have new information, meaning it can't be stale, that 2 years later you just can't walk into someone's home and search it as the defense believes. You have to have some new information, and as we know, with younger suspects, if you bide your time and you wait, they often start talking and running their mouths. And I imagine that could be what happened in this case, and they got some new information.
Yeah, let's bring in Don Clark. Don, what do you make of it? I mean, this is also sort of coming at the last minute here before the May 30th two-year anniversary.
Yeah, it really is, Kimberly, and I have to tell you, I really feel on the one hand very good for Natalie's family because these people have really suffered about this, but on the other hand, from an investigative perspective, you know, I can't have very much confidence in it. I mean, this investigation has been less than a model that you want to follow, and I heard the prosecutor say, and she's absolutely right, they need some new information, but what could that possibly new information be that's going to cause them? They had told us at one time they had it all, and now they start to go back in this particular location to find something else. So to me it reminds me a little bit of the Jimmy Hoffa case where myself included dug up a lot of dumps up in New Jersey trying to find the body. And
what's interesting though, Joe, is I mean, how did this woman just vanish into thin air? There is absolutely no sign whatsoever of this woman.
Kimberly, if this was an indictment brought in the United States, it would be dismissed at the pretrial stage. There is no evidence that Natalie Holloway is even dead. There's no physical evidence, forensic evidence, circumstantial evidence. She has just vanished off the face of the planet. And you know, I've been following this case as closely as anyone for the last 2 years. I have a serious question as to whether or not Jorn van der Sloot or the Kalpoe brothers were involved. They were interrogated extensively. Their kids, they've said nothing to indicate anything other than the fact that what they said earlier was true. There's no evidence she's even dead. It's tragic she's missing, but evidence just isn't there.
Well, Pam, there have been a number of inconsistencies in statements where it appeared that they were hiding something and not telling the truth. Of course, their attorneys have explained that away and said, yes, that's right, but they were telling the truth ultimately at the end. But there's a couple possibilities here. One of them is talking or someone around them because they're going back to the van der Sloot home, not over to the beach where supposedly they say, the prime suspects say, that that's where they last were with Natalie Holloway.
Exactly, Kimberly, and as I said, you know, you tell victims' families that. It's so frustrating, but sometimes it's a waiting game, and especially with younger suspects, if you wait it out, they start talking, and what we do know is van der Sloot is still the prime suspect if they're digging up his front yard.
Yeah, that's
also,
a pretty big deal.
We prosecuted plenty of cases in Florida and in this country, and I know you know, without a body.
That's right.
So you don't have to have Natalie's body to have a homicide.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens because it's a big deal digging up somebody's house. They have to have some kind of justification for that to be allowed. All right, Pam, Joe, John, thanks so much for joining me, and stand by. We're going to be coming back to you later in the show. And if you at home have any information about what happened to Natalie Holloway, please call the number on your screen. And coming up, Miss America fight. Here's a look at the stories we're working on for tomorrow night's show.
New developments in the Natalie Holloway case. What are investigators looking for at the van der Sloot home? Are we getting one step closer to finding out what happened to the beautiful Alabama teen? And will there ever be justice for Natalie? A Georgia 911 dispatch.